I'm Michael Connor, and yes, like I mentioned the other night, I do have the bye week blues. But there are areas to be optimistic, and there are areas of possible improvement for the Texans. We're going to talk about it all tonight on the Locked On Texans.
I am Stan Norfleet. Bye week is no time to rest in your laurels. D'Amico, Casario, we got work to do. What's the plan here? I don't like where it's trending. I'll tell you why.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And we're with you on a Friday evening. Not a normal spot in the regular season because the Texans are on a bye week this week. I'm Michael Connor. That's Stan Norfleet. John Hickman's having a little bit of an internet issue. We're trying to get him in here. Hopefully he'll be able to join us during the show. We appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us if you're live tonight. Make sure, of course, you're subscribed to this YouTube channel if you're watching live or later on. And you can find this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Go and search Locked On Texans. You get this show and John's daily Locked On Texans show as well. So, Stan, this is weird. I always appreciate when you do have a break in the season. We talked about it a little bit the other night. It's early in the season. I don't love early in the season, but man, we watched some football that we're going to talk about here, kind of relating it to the Texans here in just a moment from last night. But I kind of, put the game on a little bit last night, and I went, man, this sucks. I don't have a Texans game to watch and talk about this weekend.
And listen, what makes it worse than that is not that just you have to wait to the next Sunday. It's not that you have to wait to next Monday. It's the second Monday night game. This is literally the longest anybody would have to wait from week to week. But such is life when you're the Houston Texans and when you're going to be in front of a national broadcasted audience, a national televised audience, I should say, in Seattle next Monday night. You can't squander an opportunity. So you take it, and it's an opportunity to elevate the brand.
Yeah, we'll mix in probably not much Seattle stuff tonight, I'm sure, but we got next Tuesday to really get rid of for Seattle as well. We've had plenty of opportunity here, but mentioned that watching the football game last night, the New York Giants taking down the Eagles. The Eagles 2 weeks in a row. They got the people freaking out up there in Philadelphia.
Maybe I listened to the post game. I listened to WIP just because I wanted to hear the freak out.
Those people up there are maniacs. I've listened to them a few times. They're crazy.
Oh, you'll appreciate this. With Philly last night, it wasn't just the Eagles losing.
Oh, yeah.
It was how the Phillies lost the game. And it was that, who was that? That's the Blue Jays, and is that the Dodgers? The Phillies were playing the Dodgers?
The Blue Jays are playing whoever the hell wins.
The Blue Jays beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then who did the Phillies lose to?
Yeah, the Phillies lost to the Dodgers. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So how they lost that series, it was just a double down effect. But they got real problems in Philly. They really, really do. Now, you say they got problems. They're 4-2, but they're clearly the most scrutinized 4-2 reigning Super Bowl champion that I can remember.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's the harmony up there in paradise, or whatever the phrase I'm looking for there. Like it seems like
trouble in paradise. Yeah.
Trouble in paradise. I got
a little some of that on the home front myself.
Yeah. We all need harmony. We don't need trouble in paradise. We need harmony. But no, we're watching the football game last night. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just going to say they're blaming the play caller like many Texans fans are looking at Nick Cayley sideways. Now, it's been better the last 2 weeks. We'll talk more about why. But for Philly, they were without some players on defense yesterday. And, they had a players-only meeting between Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and the receiver, A.J. Brown. And then they go out and lay an egg. So, yeah, they got problems, but they're pointing the finger at the play caller on offense.
Yeah, and what do you – here's the other problem. Okay, you really expect to be playing like you did last year when Saquon Barkley's not playing like he did last year? Not getting those results? I don't know what they're expecting.
The offensive line isn't playing like they were last year. They missed Mekhi Becton. Yeah. We'll talk more about the Texans' offensive line once we pivot off last night. But there were some things last night, really an overall thought and looking at what's going on with the Giants, and they are desperate. They are putting a whole bunch of young guys out there on offense. We know Malik Neighbors is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, and that turf at MetLife has robbed him of a sophomore season. But they still got a couple young guys out there that impact or make me ask the question about the impact with the youth movement for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, so that's the question here is, we're 5 games into this regular season, and this is a team that did not make the splash in the offseason, this past offseason, like they had the previous offseason.
Yeah.
Obviously the rookies are a hot button topic for us here on the show. Sometimes Jaden Higgins has been, we like to have fun with that and whatnot. But overall,
Woody Marks.
Woody Marks. In all honesty, through 5 games, how would you assess what the Texans have gotten out of the rookies so far this season?
Letter grade or just
go ahead. Letter grade. Sure. That's a great way.
Letter grade for the rookie class. All right, so you're talking about Ariante Ursery, Higgins, Noel, Woody Marks. You got a little Jalen Smith in there, but not a ton. Who else is in there? Who else of mine that's missing? That's really it, rookie-wise, correct?
I'm just trying to pull it up here.
That's all that comes to mind because Luke Lachey's on the practice squad. I don't think I'm missing anybody else right off the top of my head. So let's just go with the ones that we know for the sake of time.
Oh, you forgot Graham Mertz. I mean, he's doing a wonderful job holding that clipboard as the third string
quarterback.
Nobody does
it better. Yep, nobody does it better.
Yep.
Okay, so I would say letter grade for the Texans 2025 rookie class. I put them at probably a B minus.
Okay.
I think that's probably an appropriate.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm shocked that you're giving B minus.
Well, so okay, Ursery has taken his lumps. They're going to allow him to be baptized by fire. I disagree with that thought, but they jettisoned Cam Robinson out of here to Cleveland, so they're telling us that's what they're going to do. Okay, Ursery's been all right. He's won some. I'd say he's probably lost more than he's won at this point. But let's say he's breaking even to just make it simple math. Woody Marks has surprised. I am growing more comfortable with Woody Marks in the ball game. He had more. I think he had 3 more snaps versus Baltimore than Nick Chubb did. So if you watch Woody Marks' percentage of offensive snaps and his usage, it has continually gone up. In terms of the number of offensive snaps, so they trust him there. So it's really, Jalen Smith, he was kind of banged up for a little while. We hadn't really seen a ton of him. So for me, really, it's the 2 wide receivers from Iowa State, those 2 Cyclones and Higgins and Noel. Many of you said to me that they would be very impactful. And through 5 games, if we're being honest, we have not seen that impact to the level that many of you thought we would. So I'm a bit underwhelmed with that bunch at the wide receiver position.
I mean, I think that's completely fair. 5 games in, Higgins, 9 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Noel, 5 catches, 22 yards, and a touchdown. Now, we do have to, of course, mention that he returns kicks and punts and everything. So, he's
has been pretty good in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got what 11 kick returns, 125 yards. So he's averaging, or that's punt returns, averaging about 11.4 per return with a long of 34 so far. And kick return wise, he's got long of 53 on the punt return, long of 34 on the kick returns, averaging about 27 yards per kick return. So that's been nice. I think he's been more impactful than I expected him to be so far. But like I said, I was a little surprised you went with, you said B or B minus?
I said B minus.
Okay. I would have gone, for me, I would have just gone solid C. I think it's because there's not been the impact that maybe I was expecting. I was expecting more out of Higgins is the one I was expecting more out of because
we know
the Texans. Yeah. We do know this. But also because the Texans, they brought in Christian Kirk. I guess I wasn't expecting them to be and we've talked about this a lot this season, a team that gets the ball around so much. And I really just figured it'd be normal. Hey, every game, Nico Collins is getting 12 targets a game. And then Higgins is going to find his way to like 6 or 7, and Kirk's going to get about 6, and then it's everybody else. And it hadn't been that. So I think that's why my grade goes lower.
For me, I expect the ball to get spread around a little bit just because that's the New England offense. Tom Brady, once you earned his trust, he would get the ball in the hands, whether it was short, intermediate, and he would occasionally take some shots down the field, just predicated on his pre-snap reads. So I figured it would be certainly distribution. Now, I do agree with you. I am very surprised that Nick Caley hadn't found a way to craft and scheme up Nico Collins getting the ball in his hands more. I'm not seeing the amount of draw screens and reverses, which can negate that pass rush. I seem to talk about it, every other show. I'm surprised he isn't doing that more. But the offense is trending better. But specifically with the young guys, look, it's clear. Woody Marks gives them a little bit more juice. There's more energy. There's more suddenness. There's more explosiveness when Woody Marks is in the backfield as opposed to Nick Chubb. When you think about those two wide receivers, I mean, neither of those guys are going to be more explosive or as productive as Nico Collins. But I haven't seen Higgins. Now, great ball by CJ. That was the Tennessee Titans game here at NRG. CJ, it's the slot fade. CJ puts the ball on the money, touchdown Higgins, congratulations. And then we saw Noel with a bad Ray Lewis rendition celebration in Baltimore on Sunday once he got in the end zone. I'm just not seeing enough of it to be like, okay, now that's going to have ramifications. I guess we'll talk about that in the next segment. The mindset now impacts what's coming up here at the trade deadline. What their philosophy appears to be just gives me some cause for pause. And listen, I'm not going to apologize just because they beat a bad team, really two bad defenses, and a banged up Ravens team on the road. Like, I'm not going to I'll give them their flowers that you still got to go out there and do it, MC. But I'm not going to say this thing is fixed. To me, it's not fixed. And when you watch the New York Giants, it's clear. They're going with Jackson Dart and Scatterbo, and the team is responding. I don't necessarily think that same type of juice is permeated here in Houston. Now, maybe it doesn't need to, right? Nico's out there, and CJ and Will and Daniil, like they got it's a different scenario. So all in all, man, I would just say I still stand on the table for when we look back, Casario's going to wish he added more to the wide receiver and or running back room by the time we get to the end of the season.
And we'll get to that here in just a second. But the last thing that I did want to ask you now after we've had 5 games here is there any doubt that when we get to the end of the season and when we talk most impactful rookie, it's going to end up being Woody Marks?
The most impactful rookie is going to be Ariante Ursery.
Oh,
because
I figured this is the Woody Marks hate is out tonight. I'm kidding.
So if Ursery couldn't man that left tackle, and God forbid he gets nicked up, they can't function. Trent Brown can't play left. They don't trust Blake Fisher. Now they keep trying to run Blake Fisher out there as the 6th offensive lineman and trying to sneak in reps for him to develop, and they should. But you're telling me they're going to win the division if something were to happen to Tay? Okay, do you leave Titus at right? Do you move Titus to left and you put Blake Fisher at right? Do you move Titus to left and Trent Brown comes off the practice squad and he becomes your right tackle? If Tay doesn't man that left tackle spot and Caley has to consistently continue to add help to him, that Josh Hines Allen tape from Jacksonville, the rest of the league is going to see that tape. That's not going away. And you play 2 teams in Tennessee and Baltimore that literally are 2 of the 3 or 4 worst pressure in terms of sacks and hits on the quarterback, defensive units and defensive lines in the league. So when better units come, like this bunch in Seattle on Monday night, Ursery is going to have to get his pound of flesh and stand up. So as excellent as Woody has been in spots, and I agree, they aren't using him enough. It seems they're going to relegate him to that kind of that third down back, that change of pace back, even though he played more snaps than Chubb. Chubb is clearly the runner, but they don't have anybody else that can give them what Ursery gives them. So given how important CJ's back is, I'm going to need Ursery. He's going to have to be the most valuable and the most impactful.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt he's got to be the most valuable. I'm just hoping for more Woody Marks. I like Woody Marks. I like what we've seen so far. So the question is now, where can they improve? Can they improve? Should they improve at the trade deadline as it continues to creep close? We're going to talk about it here in a brief moment. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Before we get there, though, I want to tell you about where are you getting your supplies? Well, that should be Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts for a project fast? Well, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about an absolute game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and a dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Texan Squad Show continues on a Friday, and look what we have. The squad is now here. John Hickman's got the internet working.
What's going on, guys?
Hickman,
The three of he got in here just in time to miss the Woody Marks smear campaign from Stan Norfleet. No.
Oh, stop that.
I caught a little bit of it.
No,
I
stop
caught
that.
a little bit of it.
No, I said I'm actually Woody Marks is elevating the overall rookie grade.
Yeah.
Woody Marks and Ursery are out playing Higgins and Noel. Nobody thought
No
that
doubt.
would be the case coming in. All of y'all told me Higgins and Noel would be still in the show from a rookie standpoint.
You know what I love about this show? We will remind each other of our previous statements and comments.
Receipts.
We will fact check here.
Accountability, absolutely.
I love it. But no, I did catch the last part of the Ariante Ursery part, and I wholeheartedly agree. They're gonna need him to continue to step up and play well. Because do you want Blake Fisher over there? I'm not sure. Do you want Trent Brown over there? I'm not sure. But Ursery has played last 2 games. He's been playing some good football.
I guess that's the best way to put it. So now that brings us, guys, to the conversation here with this football team of, we've talked about it a little bit the other night of going out and making additions to it. We live in a world now in the NFL world where trades happen, which is, I enjoy it.
We're a week for the NFL.
All over the place, man. Stuff all over the place. The Browns, the Jags making moves again together. Stuff all over the place. Obviously, Joe Flacco going to the Bengals earlier this week as they try to hold on and save their season as best they can. But the Texans at the trade deadline, we don't really have. I try to think of it. I don't think we have a huge history of. Is Nick Caserio really even made in-season trades? I couldn't find any when I was looking for them, but I really don't remember any. If they were small. No doubt about
I remember it. I remember in-season cuts.
Yeah.
Not in the D'Amico era that I can recall bringing in somebody that was truly impactful at the deadline. George Fant, wasn't that a deadline deal?
Was it an off-season
2 years ago?
I think that was an off-season move. He started out getting
maybe they brought him in at camp. They brought him in right before the roster cut down, maybe. Okay. So, no, Caserio, who's known for wheeling and dealing on draft day, we cannot recall anybody that he has brought in. Cut down day, Lord. NFL trade deadline November 4th.
November 4th, I think it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that for us.
Yeah, 3 o'clock Central Time, yeah.
So the question is, guys, would you, if you were putting Nick Caserio's shoes right now, you were given the keys to that Houston Texans franchise, would you go out and make a trade? And where would you make the trade? What position would you target more than any other?
Man, Breece Hall has been a little bit unhappy. So I'm going to answer the first half of that question. If I'm Nick Caserio, do I make a trade? By the trade deadline, What's his team's record? I don't want to risk future assets that if it doesn't mean that player is going to kind of get us over the hump right now. Now, Brees Hall is a name and a player that I think is still something Houston needs to look into, because Joe Mixon has one more year left on that 3-year extension. Nick Chubb is under contract for 1 year. Of course, Woody Marks on that rookie deal. Brees Hall, I think, is a dynamic player. Twice in his career, he's rushed for over 5 yards per carry. His career yards per carry average is around 4.6. He's never rushed for 1,000 yards, but he's a damn good runner. You look at and he is another Cyclone, by the way. That would be the fourth Cyclone in here in Houston if that move happens. But you look at a player that I think is dynamic, and it gives Houston, especially if they get him this year, you get the runner in Nick Chubb, you get the pass blocking, pass catching running back out of the backfield, but you get Brees Hall, who's kind of a do-it-all type of back. And you look at how that can carry into next year, giving quarterback C.J. Stroud another weapon. But if Houston is far out of the playoffs, and if they don't have a successful October, and if these 2 games were flukes against bad teams, I kind of want to put it back on you guys at some point to add, and I want to ask you, does it make sense for Houston to even explore a trade for a player, or should they just kind of wait the season out and get busy in the offseason?
A lot of good stuff there, Hickman, per usual. Let me just inform our audience. So the Texans will play at Seattle Monday night, home the following Sunday versus San Francisco, and then the following Sunday at home versus the Denver Broncos. So that's 3 games before the trade deadline. I think the Texans will win one of those 3, max. Given,
So
let's see
they'd
what
be
happens.
3 and 5, 3 and 6,
3 and
3 and 5.
6. So what are they now? They're 2 and 3. That's
2
5.
and
So
3,
it's 8 games total. So I got them winning one more. So that's 3 and 5. I've got them at 3 and 5 by the time they get to the trade deadline. And
you're still not dead in the expanded playoffs these days.
You're not dead because you've and you can still win the division because you won 1 versus Tennessee and lost 1 versus Jacksonville. So you still got all them other divisional games, and then you see how the dust settles from there. So I think Caserio has already told us what his plan is for the trade deadline. Every position that I think they should look to upgrade, they've either already subtracted players, which tells you they're good with what they got, or they already committed to playing young guys. I think they need another wide receiver. A guy like, if Dallas implodes, now Dak is playing at an MVP level again. We know what he does in the regular season. We'll see what the NFC East looks like. Philly getting knocked around a little bit last night by a bad Giants team. We'll see what the Commanders look like on a week-to-week basis. But if Dallas is out of it and they don't feel like they can make a push, I take a stab at George Pickens. I'll give them a late round pick to get George Pickens over here for the rest of the year. I think he's he's not in Nico's class, but I do think he's a legitimate 1A wide receiver. I think that's what Dallas is doing with him. He's a wide receiver 1A. He beat like T. Higgins to Nico here. So George Pickens is a guy that I would like to see them look at in terms of wide receiver that'll be a free agent at the end of this year. Same with Brees Hall. So let's see what the Dallas Cowboys are at that point.
Can I add to your wide receiver talk?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Two other wide receiver names that I think is very interesting before the break, before the All-Star break. I'm thinking about basketball.
Trade deadline.
Just to see how Miami feels about moving on from Jalen Waddle, and maybe if Houston can look at, if they're going to blow everything up, what does Miami take on in terms of their contract? What does Houston take on? But also a player that I like more than Waddle, a lot more, my man out of Minnesota,
Jordan Addison.
I
don't know why they would let him go, though. He and Jefferson have been an excellent duo.
Yeah, well, Naylor has kind of stepped up the last few games. The game that Addison actually goes off and and that fourth quarter helps win them the game. He didn't start that game off. He didn't play in that first half. So
Addison saved their butt last year when Jefferson was out banged up. Addison was the reason. I think it was last year, it may have been the year before. But Addison here recently saved their butt. They were able to hang around because he was balling.
I don't
Now,
know.
I'd love
I
to
don't, I
have
don't know
him.
what the relationship is with him in Minnesota though.
I'd love to have him. Addison is a baller. Addison shows up and he's immediately better than Christian Kirk. He'd be this team's second best wide receiver. No question about that.
No question about it.
I don't have
And
an
you
issue
look at
with
his
what.
ability to get open and kind of do a multitude of things on the football
Agreed.
field that if we're looking at what Nick Cady would love in this offense, option routes, get into his spots quickly. You look at the dangerousness of Tank Dell, who's not on the field right now, but an offense that needs it, I think that could be Jordan Addison's role for Houston. He'll pair along well with Nico Collins as his number one receiver.
I don't think they're bringing a receiver in, going back to my point.
Mm.
Casario's already told us we're going to
Running back
play.
and tight end feels like the two positions, and safety, the three positions of need for Houston right now.
Let me finish this thought on the wide receiver position. It's going to be Higgins and Noel, and then they're going to be leery of bringing somebody in, especially somebody like a Pickens that's going to want a contract, even in Addison, because in their mind, Tank Dell's coming back.
When?
And they know that, but moving forward, they're saying like, they envision a world. This is what I think. This has not been reported. This is just me reading the tea leaves. I think Casario and D'Amico look at a world where Nico's still Nico, Higgins becomes the future Nico, Noel becomes the slot to replace Christian Kirk, and then Tank Dell becomes their explosive piece that they can just move around and do whatever they want to do with it. I think they think 2 years down the road, that's going to be the wide receiver core. So I don't see them adding a wide receiver. Now, I think that's a mistake, personally. Now, the running back room is kind of the same. When I look at the running back room, they're investing in Woody Marks. Now, Nick Chubb is on a 1-year deal, but if they don't go get a running back, which I don't know why they wouldn't, it's like, okay, they got Joe Mixon, but if Joe Mixon's not going to run the ball for you, and Nick Chubb this year, and Nick Chubb is on a 1-year deal, you got Woody Marks. You clearly don't trust Damian Pierce anymore. He's been a healthy stretch for a couple games. And now you're trying to give carries to British Brooks and Daria Gumbawale. It makes me think they think we can go running back room by committee. Now, if there was a running back not named Brees Hall, and by the way, Xavier Hutchinson was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, and he mentioned former teammate Brees Hall. It'd be nice to have him come to Houston with the rest of the Cyclones. So that happened this week. But another running back.
I was going to say real quick, did you see what Brees Hall had to say today, that he doesn't necessarily want to be traded from the Jets? He would like to stay with the Jets.
Well, that's a young man's got to make a decision. Another running back that I'd like to throw for consideration if they were looking for kind of a 1-year rental, go look at what Rico Dowdle is doing in Carolina. He's just coming off a game where he ran them back into the game with 206 yards. I think they had a come from behind win versus the Miami Dolphins, I do believe. Go look at what Dowdle has done, even going back to his previous 2 seasons. He's at 5 points. Dowdle's at 5.7 per carry this year, 4.6 in Dallas last year, 4.1 in Dallas the year before that. Last year's 4.6 was in 16 games over 15 starts. So that would be the type of guy that would cost you essentially nothing. Carolina's not going anywhere. You could bring him in and he'd instantly be an upgrade. The problem, he's going to take some carries away from Chubb and Woody. So if they're going to invest in Woody, and if they think Woody's going to be the guy, then it doesn't make sense to bring in another running back.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think it's just going to be very interesting. I do have another running back name that I want to bring up here in just
I got one more name after your running back name.
Okay, we're going to give them here in just a second on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Hey, you know what time it is to talk about? It's FanDuel. FanDuel is where it is at because the NFL season, well, it's been here. It is here every single week, and we're loving having it back. FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something extra riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into those stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app and get started today. Texans Squad Show continues here on a Friday. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you. Appreciate you stopping by if you're watching live and, of course, watching later on as well. We'll be back to our regular scheduling next week-ish because the Texans will play Tuesday, and then you won't see us for almost a week again. Because
Texans play Monday. We'll do a show on Tuesday.
We'll do Monday, Tuesday the following week, and we will be up late. This old man over here is going to be taking a nap before that game at 9 o'clock at night because I can't stay up that late anymore. But the Texans at 2-3, we're talking trade deadline and, things that they could improve on. Running back is a very obvious position that we're talking about here. But Stan, before I give my name, who is the other name that you wanted to bring up?
Well, and then somebody in the comments, I'll see if I can find it real good. Jaron Farrell over here says they don't need wide receivers, they need a tight end. I agree with that sentiment.
I partially agree with that.
I agree with that sentiment. Now go look at the tight ends that are going to free agents next year. Travis Kelce,
nope,
36. Mark Andrews, 29. Njoku at 29 has been nicked up. We'll see. Dallas Goedert in Philly, he's 31. I mean, you start getting in here. Taylor Higbee with the Rams is 33. The one that jumps out, the one that's going to get everybody's attention, is a young Kyle Pitts Sr.
KP. Yeah.
Kyle Pitts Sr. is the one that you see the athletic profile, you see the explosive potential in moments in Atlanta, and he's been through 2 different regimes now. Kyle Pitts has looked the part. They struggled getting him the football last year for whatever reason, and even sometime this year, we'll see. Kyle Pitts, could he come in? And then here's the hard part with Kyle Pitts: you're gonna trade for Kyle Pitts, which is going to cost you something. Then you're going to have to pay Kyle Pitts, a former first-round pick, which is going to cost you something. But I'm sorry, the way Dalton Schultz looks in this offense right now, I'm not ready to run Dalton Schultz out the building. And we know that this offense embraces multiple tight ends. So I'm just leery of getting Pitts if you're going to continue to keep Dalton.
I want to add to that tight end talk by saying, Houston should be getting Case Stover back soon, but a lot of what Houston chooses to do for that unit, not only this year trade deadline, but also next year's offseason, I think it depends on what can Case Stover give this offense. Dalton Schultz is got a year older. He has 1 more year left on that contract extension. If Houston wants to, I think they can kind of move off of him next year. Cade Stover is kind of like Brevin Jordan in a sense. They like him a lot, but we haven't really seen much over a course of a season, maybe moments here and there. And for Brevin Jordan, he had the big moment. But there's nothing we can hang our hat on for that tight end room moving forward outside of Dalton Schultz being reliable this year. But for 2026 and moving forward, who else is in the room that we can really trust? So I do think trading for a tight end could be something that Houston looks to do. Maybe not could be. Should be something Houston looks to do if they feel like that tight end can give them a boost to be more competitive down the stretch to win more games. I like KP and the idea of him here in Houston, by the way.
That name is just like there's always a player on somebody else's team that fans fantasize for, and that name's been like thrown around for like 3 years now, it feels like. But I do think that you guys are onto something. I mean, like that fits great because what were we expecting this year from the tight end group, guys? That hasn't happened, unfortunately, because of an injury. We expected Brevin Jordan to be a big contributor, right?
So he's out. You look at his ability.
He's on the practice squad as a rookie.
On the practice squad. I think BJ Brevin Jordan, man. I think what he was going to bring with just his ability to block, get open out of the backfield, hit the edge with that speed, 4.5 speed. Nothing crazy, but I expected for him to have some targets. Cased over the same. But in 5 games, we've seen Dalton Schultz, but we also have to see Harrison Bryant. Brendan Bates, who I didn't even realize was activated for the game on Sunday.
I mean, that's really all you're talking about. Because Irv Smith Jr., he's on IR, right? Or did he get released coming off of IR. I don't
I
think
think he
he's
got released coming
yeah,
off
I
of
don't think
IR.
he's associated. So here's the thing. They've got to make a decision about, and it's just what we don't know. We're still getting to know Nick Caley and what he wants to do with this offense. They've got to decide, like, what do you want to be? Like, you've got to be special somewhere. Right now on
I love it.
offense, other
I
than
love it.
CJ Stroud, Nico is your only alien.
I love it.
So, like, you've got to find, do you want to, now, when Joe Mixon is healthy and back there, Joe Mixon's the top 10 back in this league, I'll give him his respect. But if Mixon is as banged up as it looks like he is, you got one alien on offense, CJ aside.
Yeah.
So, like, are you going to put that alien in the backfield? Are you going to put that alien out wide? Or are you going to line him up at the tight end position? And if you look around, let me finish this one point.
Yes, sir.
One point about the tight ends in the league. Baltimore is competitive every year because they have Andrews and Likely. You know what George Kittle has been in San Francisco, right? You know what Kelsey has been in Kansas City. You're trying to buy Dallas Goedert is a big reason that Philly with those wide receivers on the outside, Goddard has been an animal in the middle of the field in between those hash marks for the Eagles. So when you start talking about playing championship level football, you better have you a guy that's a difference maker, whether he's a physical alien or not at that position. And the Texans got to decide where they want to put that guy.
Last two games for the Houston Texans, I want to say a combined 60 rushing attempts. They want to be good in the backfield. As much as we talk about the run concepts and the passing concepts and schematically and all these things that Nick Caley could be pulling from New England, the one thing that I believe that he wants to do, and we've seen it a little bit more in the last 3 games because of how he's utilized and staggered snaps and carries for Nick Chubb
And Marks.
and Marks. They want that running back room to be dynamic. That's why I think Breece Hall is a great option to look at because that gives you 3 legit, in their own way, dynamic running backs in their running room that will allow the offense to potentially stay in front of the sticks and not have so many negative plays. And so I look at this trend. They won games running the ball 60 times in 2 games. Last 2 games, they accounted for nearly 300 rushing yards. Stan, your question is, okay, where do you look to upgrade? Where do you look to bring in that alien, that offensive playmaker? It feels like it needs to be running back. To me, it feels like it needs to be running back. Tight end, you can make a case for. Wide receiver, you can absolutely make a case for. But it feels like for Houston, it needs to be running back because that running back gives the comfortability back to the offense. Again, if you can stay in 3rd and 4 and not 3rd and 8, then that bodes well for Nick Caley and for CJ Stroud. So I think that it needs to be running back. If there's a priority listed, I think running back should be number 1 for that offensive upgrade.
Now, look, I think you all would agree with me. I'm saying these skill positions because there's not an offensive lineman out there that they can trade for that's going to help this line.
Nobody's going to trade a good offensive lineman.
If somebody was going to let go of a real offensive lineman, then I would say do that. But outside of an offensive lineman and, quite frankly, an interior offensive lineman, then I would say, for me, I understand your logic in the backfield, John. For me, I would probably say wideout. I've been real big on that. Y'all know why. I just think, the wideout it translates to scoring more points. But at the end of the day, when I think about the running back spot, I think let's just say we won't see Joe Mixon this year. Bringing in another running back, does that not sacrifice the development of Woody Marks and a guy that they seem to love in British Brooks? I think they still think they have kind of a tweener in British Brooks because they continue to keep him around. I know he was banged up last year, made the roster this year. Like they see something there, and not just as a hammerhead at fullback. They see real carries for British Brooks to coincide with Woody Marks. You still have Damian Pierce on the roster unless he's a part of sending Pierce out to bring in whatever new running back. I guess that's what I'm just curious to say is, are you willing to bring in a Breece Hall at the expense of sacrificing carries and development for Woody Marks?
Well, to me, like Breece Hall and the name that I wanted to ask you guys about, those are younger guys to where, I'd be a little bit intrigued on that. So the name I wanted to ask, John, you brought up the Dolphins earlier and Waddle, but what about their running back, A-Chain?
A-Chain.
Explosive.
And, I saw some reports about them moving on for A-Chain, and I just think the Dolphins are one of the dumbest organizations in the NFL right now, but why would they do that? Baffles me. But hell yeah, I'll look at bringing in A-Chain. That speed out of the backfield.
You already have you don't have that guy from a speed dynamic, but to me, A-Chain is just Woody Marks for like 3 more years developing the league. You already have that guy.
Mm.
If I'm bringing in a guy, I'm bringing in a guy that has a skill set of what I don't have.
Addison, I'm telling you, Addison.
Now, Addison, him different.
Addison.
Now, they would say a healthy Tank Dell / Jalen Noel, they give us Addison vibes. Now, they got more, injury information than they're releasing in terms of the future prognosis and availability of, Tank Dell. So I just think.
But multiple aliens, that's a good problem to have.
It is.
You know that.
But then, like, Casario's got cutting guys and Cam Robinson and CJ Gardner-Johnson. You got, what did it end up being? Almost $20 million in money? There's dead money out there. So at some point, you have to pay that bill, not to mention, here comes the Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. deals coming up this offseason. So I think they have to be careful about where they go next with their offensive alien. I think they think, from just reading the tea leaves, I think they think in terms of, they may make a small deal at the deadline in 3 weeks, but I think they think with Ursery, Marks, Higgins, Noel, and the veteran pieces around them,
they got their guys.
That's enough for us. And I think that's a mistake. They would say also Christian Kirk. I would say mistake. That's not enough. That, to me, even with this offense, and that's why you got to be careful. Sometimes coaches get ahead of themselves and they start thinking they're the smartest in the room. Don't overcomplicate this. Since we began playing Pee Wee sports, in this case, Pee Wee football, it's always been about players. Go get dudes. Yeah, there is something to be said for development, but let me tell you what cannot happen. Then I'll shut up for 2 seconds. If they try and sell us, let's say this team does not make the postseason. They don't win a division and don't get a wild card berth. That is unacceptable. And I'm going to eviscerate that organization. Respectfully, but I'm going to call you to the carpet. Because you had ample enough time, ample enough ammunition. You chose to move off Tunzel. You chose to move off Cam Robinson. You chose to get out of the 25 overall spot when perhaps you could have gone up to get Egbuka or made some other decisions. This is what you chose. This team, when training camp started, we all believed they were good enough to win the division. D'Amico, you chose another first-time play caller. So if this doesn't go well, they're going to try and sell us on, well, look at how many look at how many reps our young guys got. Next year, we'll be ready to go and they'll know what's going on. No, damn that. I'm sorry, my language, but nah.
Texans got 2 second-round picks and 2 fourth-round picks in 2026. If they feel like there's a player out there, and again, you mentioned the money, Breece Hall is due for a contract next year because of how things have played out for him in New York. I don't see him getting one of those crazy contracts that running backs have been getting lately. I think it'll be justifiable. That second, fourth-round pick, or maybe their first fourth-round pick, for me, and I'm going to say this in MC, I know you're going to take it. Keep those 2 twos. Houston, when they traded for Stephon Diggs, they acquired another second round pick, and then they traded that second round pick to get Diggs, and then they didn't
got back the original.
And then they voided the cut, so it didn't make no sense to me. So keep those 2 twos, but that fourth round pick, one of the two, I think that would be the perfect pick to use for Breece Hall. But again, I'm looking at a player that I think can do it all in Breece Hall and has shown to be impactful for a franchise without getting carries like that. Have to share carries. I think Breece Hall would be great in Houston.
Sign me up for that. I can tell you that right now. I would take him all day long. Let's talk about, kind of wrapping this all together with how we're thinking In terms, you guys mentioned, where this team is at, where they're going to be, looking at the AFC picture as well. We'll do that in the final few minutes of the Locked On Texans Squad show. And look at that. We're right back on the Squad show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you on a Friday night. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Of course, make sure that you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're checking out John daily with the podcast as well. And you can find it anywhere that you get your podcast. Search Locked On Texans. Your first listen every single day. John Hickman. And then us.
Can I ask y'all a question really quick? I see the grade on CJ. What did y'all grade CJ?
I put that up because I checked out your CJ show.
Did y'all get to it?
We have not. Okay. What would you give him?
Well, I gave him a B.
Yeah. What would you give him, Stan?
All things considered, Stan.
C+.
People in the comments, because I'm going to say this. Comments, get ready to start typing. All things considered, Stan, where would you grade CJ?
C+. I'm like C+.
Okay.
I don't know why. I can't understand. And I listen to our colleagues in the media, local media, both that write and that put out various content, whether it be terrestrial radio or podcasts and the like. And I appear to be in the minority. I don't know why people are giving all this credence to beating the Titans, scoring these points, 70 points on the Titans and the Ravens. Like, I remember the first 3 games. Now, granted, it was the first 3 games of the season, of a new offense. Offensive line was in flux. I understand all of that. CJ has not been great this year. Now, granted, it sounds ridiculous because he's coming off he's the reigning AFC Offensive Player of the Week, given that what he just did to a bad Baltimore team, putting up 4 touchdowns, not turning the ball over. But I look at the game for what it is. That was a bad defense out there. They were without like 6 starters on defense. I just can't put a lot of stock into that. When I saw C.J. Stroud versus real defenses for the Rams, when I saw him versus Jacksonville, C.J. Stroud was turning over the football and it didn't look good. I just got to be honest about that. Call me a hater if you want to, but we all watch the same football game. So I think a C+ is reasonable.
I think I would go B- for me right now. But I think the last 2 games look a lot better, but, I didn't love the first 3. So there's that. I'm feeling better. I will say that. I'm feeling better about him moving forward. I'm feeling better.
It has improved. Yeah, it's improved.
I'm feeling better about the team moving forward. So I did want to ask that question as we start to wind down our final segment, guys. So they won't play football again until Monday Night Football. So we're going to have a different picture of the AFC South and the AFC as a whole between now and then. But what do you guys thought of the AFC so far? Because I just kind of go through it, for a brief moment there. Everybody thinks the Chargers were like on this uprise, and then they kind of take a step back the last couple of weeks. The Broncos, hit and miss. The Chiefs have been down so far this year, I think, overall. The Bills looked really good the first 4 weeks, and then they played the Patriots, and they didn't look as good. Maybe the Patriots.
Who did they play, guys?
Patriots. Oh, and then the AFC North has featured the Bengals with a hurt quarterback that are still in the mix. Ravens have been a dumpster fire. They're starting Cooper Rush again this weekend, so you expect them to maybe be 1-5. Browns are out of it. We're not worried about them. The Steelers probably going to default into being the team out of that division at this point. I just say for me, I think the AFC is wide open. Which I did not expect when we went into the season. What do you guys think where the AFC is and how that helps the Texans in terms of where they're at?
I think the AFC is wide open. I think we got some parity. I think that every team has a major flaw in the AFC. When we look at the AFC North, Bengals flaw, quarterback defense. Ravens flaw, quarterback because of the injury, not because of the play, but injury. Defense, right? And are we witnessing the decline of Derrick Henry? Browns, everything. Well, no, Browns got a great defense. Quarterback, offense. They're going to lean heavily on Junkins out there, the rookie running back. AFC South is just the Texans didn't start off well, and then the surprise teams with Daniel Jones and 4-1 Jacksonville. So when I look at every division in the AFC West, they're going to take care of each other. There's flaws at every level or for every franchise that I think when we get to week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, those flaws, unless some of those teams make trades at deadlines, those flaws are going to be the reason why maybe teams slip out of their wild card spot. Maybe teams can get competitive at the end because of the team in the number one team in their division isn't good enough anymore. They're starting to break down. I think every team in the AFC has a shot to do something in terms of getting to the playoffs. And I don't think we should count Houston out as of yet until we see what they do in the next couple of games. But AFC, man, is tough. It's a bad tough, but it's also a good tough for some of these teams that are trying to rebound from the start of their year.
There is some parity in there. Baltimore was the prohibitive favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. A lot of people put Buffalo, right up under them. Could the Bengals and Joe Burrow get it back together, get it rolling? Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers. Could Sean Payton in the second year, Bo Nix and everything that they accomplished last year, could they take their game to the next level? Jim Harbaugh, we know what happened in the playoff game last year over in NRG in the wild card round, getting absolutely smoked. Justin Herbert's worst playoff game of his career. So I think those are the teams, along with Houston, that were vying for an opportunity to play in the AFC Championship game. To me, the team that's the most scary, I think the Colts right now, they sit in the catbird seat. I'm looking at a ESPN.com stat, 85% chance the Colts to make the playoffs, 92% chance for the Buffalo Bills. Bills can't play defense. That's their problem.
Yeah.
And so when you get late in the year, you're going to have to play at least situational defense. And maybe they can just score so many points and you start getting takeaways, and that gives them a chance. The Colts, do you believe Daniel Jones, who has won one playoff game, do you believe late in the year, maybe going up against the Houston Texans for that penultimate game? So that next to last game of the year, I think, is versus the Colts at their place. All right.
Yeah.
That may be for the division. We'll see. Do I trust Daniel Jones in that environment? No. But that's a good team. And with confidence and momentum, you see what can happen. For me, when you think about the current AFC, Burrow's going to be out for a while. Aaron Rodgers is a wild card. We mentioned the defense for Josh Allen and Buffalo. Daniel Jones and the Colts. Do I trust the Jacksonville Jaguars playing excellent defense? How long can they keep this up, leading the league
I like
in
the Jags
takeaways?
right now.
Jags look good. And the confidence they
really
get
good.
from beating Kansas City, like, okay, can they ride that momentum? The team for me, and I just said it, no matter what happens, there's one team that we all trust more than everybody else. And the more, listen to me carefully, the more mucked up, with an M, this thing is, the more convoluted this thing is in the AFC. You got to show me that you can beat Andy Reid and Mahomes, whether it's in Arrowhead, and they showed you the other year. They showed you last year. We can play in cold weather, and they're about to get Rashee Rice back. They're about to get these receivers back, and they're just kind of treading water. When it's go time in December, January, who do you trust in this AFC more than Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
Nobody.
I don't trust anybody.
Nobody. Can't trust the Baltimore Ravens with how that team is put together from front to finish.
The Los Angeles Chargers got offensive line. They banged up. They saying Joe Alt is now banged up. He may not go. They already without Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not too big on Denver. Not too big on Bo Nix. The Raiders are who the Raiders are. It's Kansas City. It's Buffalo, because Buffalo, I think we can trust Buffalo and Josh Allen to
be competitive. Yeah,
to be competitive, and he'll pull them to the playoffs. He'll pull away. I think that I think that, and I'm not just saying this because that's my team, but I think the Patriots are a really good team, and I think that they're finding their groove. And I think that because of Stephon Diggs the last couple of games and that trending upward, I think the
confident
Patriots can
coach now too.
Confident coach, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels is in a situation where he's always been successful. That's a team that, if I'm looking at a team that won't win the division but will fight for that playoff spot from wild card spot, is New England, and it's also another team out of the AFC South. Because I think the Jags are a little bit more scarier than than the
Really?
Colts, honestly.
Even with what the Colts defense has done, because the Colts
Yeah,
defense is
Jack's
putting up.
defense is nice too.
Speaking of defense, I think y'all need to take
Shout out
another
to
look
Eric
at.
Murray.
I think y'all need to take a little look at Denver. Denver's a good
Oh,
football
Denver's
team.
nice.
Defensively, yeah.
Yeah,
Denver's nice,
Denver's a good
but
football team.
year two of Bo Nix is where everything starts to get a little funny in the light, in my opinion.
Fair point. We'll see. I just looked at real quick when I made that face. So this ESPN model that's up, this playoff predictor, it has the Texans a 39% chance to make the postseason, a 10% chance. Let me make sure I say that right. 39% chance to make the postseason, a 10% chance to win the division.
I think that's fair.
That's fair. They started
10%.
0-3.
I mean, you're already 2 games behind. I know that you have a bunch of division games left, but you think about it, you got to win
You got to
double the
sweep
games
Indy.
of those other teams, and then you got to get those teams. You got 2 teams, not just one. If it was just one team,
You
I'd
got
say
two
higher than
teams,
10.
yeah.
Yeah, two
Two
teams.
teams that got to lose.
Yeah.
And you got to win games. And I think they got to sweep Indy.
It wouldn't hurt.
Sweeping Indy would
They
help.
got to
And
sweep
then
Indy.
you got to sweep Indy, and then you got to at least break even with Jacksonville. So you got to get them when they come here. And then, of course, you got to sweep Tennessee. It's the Texans, and I know you're trying to close out MC. I really am. I'm wanting to be optimistic, but I can't.
Say you saw that tweet, the tweet that I mentioned you.
Oh, yeah. Mina
This is
Kimes,
me.
yeah.
And then the next tweet was, this is Stan.
Listen, I agree with Mina Kimes. Like,
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks makes you want to believe that the Texans can do maybe not average 35 points a game, but if the Texans were averaging 23 points a game, the record would be different.
5-0.
I
Different
don't
conversation.
trust. I don't trust Nick Caley and this offensive line. I just don't. And so until they go out there and do it versus real competition, I mean, other people's starters, the Texans have been very fortunate. They've been mostly healthy. Let me see that, like this, what they about to go through. Denver and San Fran and Jacksonville again and Seattle on Monday night. And let me see you versus that bunch.
You know
And
the
and
game
then
that I'm really looking forward to?
who's
It
that?
is in Seattle. So, and I think that's an important game, of course, but I'm looking forward to the 49ers game. I'm really looking forward to that San Fran game for Houston. Because of how things have played out, and they are a well-coached team. They're a machine of a franchise. Players fall out, other players step in and step up. 4-1 on this season right now as
They're
at the time of
banged
this
up
recording.
too.
They're
Yeah,
banged up too.
they're banged up.
But
I
they're
mean, on
good.
both sides of the
But
ball.
they're coached up so well that
Oh yeah,
even
for
with their
sure.
banged upness, they're 4-1. So for Houston, that's the game that I think that they need to win. Also, I'm very curious to see how they're going to, when we get to the game, how are they going to control the chaos inside of the tackles that those two interior defensive linemen can cause for Seattle? I'm looking at Byron Murphy Jr. out of UT and
For
also
sure.
Leonard Williams. Those guys
For
are
sure.
complete game records. So I'm looking forward to that game. 12th man, they're over in Lumen Field, but I'm really looking forward to that San Fran game for Houston.
MC, so I'm saying the Texans between now and the trade deadline, 1-2 over these next 3 games. What do y'all got over these next 3?
I'm going to be Captain Optimistic. I'm going to say 2-1.
I knew you was going to.
You know why? Because, again, you're playing 2 of them at home, and I just want to believe that you'll not play like
Well, we know the home crowd. The home crowd going to show up.
It doesn't. There's no home field advantage in NRG like there
Halftime.
was 15 years ago.
John, what you got them going over the next 3?
They got Seattle, they got San Fran, and they got Denver, right?
Yeah.
I think Houston beats Denver. I'm gonna be a little bit optimistic here. I'm gonna go 2-1. Seattle is a team that scares me. Seattle is beatable, but okay, Houston, what are y'all bringing over from those last 2 games, game plan wise, that you can carry into Seattle? That's gonna be a tough game, man. But
it is.
San Fran and Denver, I'm going with Houston.
Here's what scares me about it. I get to say as a member of the media, if you will, I get to say what keeps me up at night or what scares me. Yeah, if you're in the building and you're getting paid by the Texans, or if you got a battle red heart, then you're going to say like, "Oh, we'll be 3-0 and everything's just going to be peachy keen." That's just not life in the NFL. I have to look at it as if personnel or coaches look at this thing and players look at this thing, and I go, "Hey, look, man, I want to see how." I'm looking forward to the Seattle game mostly. Nationally televised audience
Monday night.
coming off of this bye. They're going to get pumped up a little bit because people are going to say, Texas arrested. Look at the 70 points they scored going into the bye. Here's their first real test, seeing where Seattle is. They will have had enough rest. D'Amico Ryans will have more than enough time. Him and Kaylee to put in, and Matt Burke to put in these game plans. By the way, shout out the Houston Texans special teams, ranked number 1 in the NFL through
Shout out
5
Frank
games.
Ross.
So Frank Ross doing a great job over there with that special teams unit. But here's what I want to see. You've been rolling on offense the last 2 weeks. What happens when they hit some opposition?
Mm.
What happens when they like, hey, we just came off a game where we didn't punt until the final possession. Now you got a week off and you go into, now the Seattle home field advantage isn't what it was in yesteryear, but that's still a good football team that awaits you. I just want to see for myself, how do they respond if it gets tough? Because I'm going to tell you, you go up there and get pushed around by Seattle in a physical ball game, and then you come home and you know what Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh believe in. That's going to be another physical ball game. And then there's no rest for the weary, because here's comes Sean Payton and a very good Denver defense the next week. So this stretch right here, you know what?
Very
I'm going to say it,
important.
and that's going to be my parting shot. This next 3-game stretch is going to determine the Houston Texans season. If they go 1-2, no
spot on.
postseason. If they go 2-1, we can still talk about postseason. They go 1-2 these next 3, curtains. And I hope that's not the case.
Hope so too. John, what you got for your partner shot?
Man, listen, I'm gonna accent the Pastor Cavassier because I'm drinking this. Wait a minute now, you know. But listen, spot on, man. I don't think we can end the show off any better than that. That's spot on. If Houston does not go 2-1, and I said they need to go 2-2 during the next 4 games.
4, yeah.
But during that 3-game stretch, because 2-1 allows for the front office to say, okay, do we need to make a trade so we can really get this thing going some more? 2-1 also, if they go 2-1, obviously that means the offense has gotten it rolling. And now we can have a different conversation. The 35 points in the last 2 games, that hasn't impressed a lot of people. So if they go 2-1, what was the offense doing to go 2-1? Obviously, they were scoring points. They were getting to the red zone, punching it in. So it's a different conversation around it. And then, like you said, we can have a conversation of, okay, wild card spot or AFC South Division champs. You name it, but you got a chance to go do it. If they don't go 2-1, and this 1-2 or 0-3, then y'all go ahead and kick up those PFF mock drafts. Get ready.
Oh God,
I lied and see.
Yeah.
Because John said something and somebody else posted it in the comment section over here. You cannot ride a defense into a postseason run and be successful in today's NFL without scoring points. We literally have not seen it outside of Belichick and Brady since Pete Carroll's Legion of Boom in 2013. That's 11 seasons ago. That's over a decade for those keeping score. Today's NFL is about offense. And as great as this defense is, there's going to be a time, it may be 1 game, it may be a half. There's going to be a time that this defense ain't going to bail out this offense, especially if they're on the field all day.
Yeah.
So
there's already been a time, the last drive for the Bucks.
I was going to say the Tampa game, yeah.
Yeah,
that was
72.
72 snaps, 74 snaps for the Bucks, something like that.
It was ridiculous.
It was 70-something, and that's way too many.
Way too much. And then you also look at, okay, they was on the field for 72 snaps, 20 missed tackles.
Yeah.
Also, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was around for that, and the communication errors on the back end of their defense.
Now he's on a bad football team, so there's that.
Because that's the only team that wanted him.
Yep, only team that wanted him. What I want is for everybody to come back and join us on Tuesday, because this show will be back on Tuesday. We'll start getting you ready for the game against the Seattle Seahawks. We appreciate all of you that watched this one live. And And, of course, later on as well for Stan and John, I am Michael. We will talk to you guys again on Tuesday on the Texans Squad Show.